Hello everybody, and welcome back to One Nerd to Rule Them All. And in today's video, we return to our Warhammer race series. We'll be looking at the faction of Chaos today, and the races that it includes. We have a lot to uncover, so without further ado, let's get into the video. Just like with my Races of Order video, we will start by looking at the faction of Chaos first. The Grand Alliance of Chaos, also called the Forces of Chaos or simply Chaos, is comprised of all the mortal worshippers and daemons of the metaphysical force of Chaos and the 5 major Chaos gods who are its embodiments. These gods are Khorne, Tzinch, Nurgle and Slaanesh, along with the Great Horned Rat. It is comprised of many different intelligent species, though primarily men, who gather in warbands mighty enough to conquer entire nations. Through the tyrannical lords that lead the armoured hordes of chaos, they believe themselves to be warrior kings born to rule the mortal realm with an iron fist, but they are bound to the will of higher power in their turn. In truth, every murderer, monster and mutant in their armies is but a slave to darkness and a mortal puppet of the dark gods. Now we jump onto the races. We will start by looking at the Blades of Khorne. The Blades of Khorne are a collection of mortal and daemons who are the servants of the blood god Khorne. They represent the struggle for survival, in which only the strongest may prosper. As the physical incarnation of wrath, slaughter and rage, the followers of the blood god have annihilated countless civilizations. The skulls they have collected are piled so high as to be mistaken for mountain ranges, and the blood they have spilled mistaken for oceans. Now let's look at the disciples of Tzinch. Changers of ways, the master of fortune, the great conspirator, and the architect of fate. These are just some of the names for Tzinch, a brother chaos god to Nurgle, Khorne and Slaanesh, and often an ally of the Horned Rat. He is the undisputed master of the arcane arts of magic. His followers, daemons and mortals alike, swarm over the mortal realms in shining glory, searing the land with burning flames of change. Tzangor tribes reign ancient places of knowledge, while mortal chaos cultists work in secret to advance their gods' unknowable goals. Tzinch's plans are manifold, and he revels in watching each unravel. Moving on to the Hedonites of Slaanesh. The Hedonites of Slaanesh are the vast armies of Hedonites that follow or once followed Slaanesh, the lost god. The followers of Slaanesh in his absence have split into factions, and many travel to the realm in violent, decadent warbands. These Hedonite hosts fall into 3 main categories. They are invader hosts. These do not seek or attempt to usurp their lost god, but rather continue his work, as extravagantly and violently as possible. They are usually led by a keeper of secrets, a demonic herald of the Dark Lord, or a mortal champion as they seek to vent their darkest desires upon the most unfortunate of enemies. Then you have the Pretender hosts, consisting of a powerful and charismatic individual, mortal or neverborn, assert that they should be the next god of excess. They gather the most powerful forces they can to help them ascend, but are always watchful for other pretenders within their own midst. Then you have the Seeker hosts. A Seeker warband travels through the mortal realms, using every sense they possess to search for their lost god. They will question any being that might have the information they seek, and torture is often used on those unfortunate enough to be thought to be a useful source. None can say what has become of the Dark Prince of Perversion, but his followers still seek him and look to supplement him. Now we move on to the Maggotkin of Nurgle. The Maggotkin of Nurgle are diseased warriors who spread the epidemic of despair and decay across the realms. They are followers of the Plague God, and are generous in their disposition for epidemics, and loving in the care they have for the foul creation of the grandfather, the Maggot King of Nurgle. They seek to bloat the mortal realms with rot and contagion. By allowing diseases to spread far and wide, they herald the coming of life in its most vivid and natural expression. Indeed, if one is to value and cheer at the birth of every maggot and parasite, and allowed to thrive in raddled corpses, then disease and rot becomes not the faltering of life towards death, but the overabundance of life. In this, the Maggotkin are the enforcers of the natural cycle, their ever-loving actions ultimately making the circle of life so vividly round that its curves can be seen by mortal eyes, to their greatest displeasure. Now we move on to the Skaven. Skaven, also known as the Skaventide or the Ratmen. They are true creatures of chaos, a teeming species of mutant humanoid rats with a narcissistic desire to rule over all creation. They are lawless, conniving creatures, and are self-serving backstabbers who proliferate in the dark corners of the mortal realms and beyond. They are the chosen race of the Great Horned Rat, who sees their ascendancy over all the other mortal races of the realms as the key to its own triumph over the other ruinous powers in the great game played between them of influence and power. They follow an irregular cycle. They fight amongst themselves, expand their under-empire. They then multiply their population and surge to the surface to unleash sudden havoc. Eventually, the Skaven weaken, often due to the violent treachery of the clans, and skulk back to their lair. They are decay and chaos made manifested. Lastly, we have the Slaves to Darkness. The Slaves to Darkness are the mortal followers of the Chaos Gods, from barbaric warriors riding across the burning plains or hidden cultists plotting the downfall of their own city. Their tribes are the most prevalent human culture in the mortal realms, with many of them numbering in the hundreds, if not thousands. Across all the mortal realms, creatures of all races and hues may turn to the dark gods. Many are their reasons and excuses, but their path can only end three ways: by death, by becoming a chaos spawn, or by ascending to immortality as a daemon prince. Those champions that can combine multiple warbands are known as God-sworn overlords, surrounded by lesser warlords known as champions of ruin. This brings us to the end of today's video. Slightly shorter list than some of the others because they have slightly less warbands and slightly less races, but still very, very cool. I hope you enjoyed this part. If you want to watch my video on order, then please feel free to look back at my previous video if you missed that one. Next week, we'll be jumping into the Grand Alliance of Death, so if that interests you, then might I recommend subscribing to the channel so you don't miss out on any future content. In the description down below, you will find two links. The first to my other half, Rothmer's channel, so if you enjoy MMOs and action RPGs, then might I recommend giving that a watch. In fact, for the rest of this week, he will also be streaming, so if that interests you as well, then hop on over there. For more Warhammer content, you can head on over to our joint channel, where Rothmer and I build, paint, and soon battle Warhammer armies and Middle-earth armies against each other. Anyway, that'll be it from me today. Have a wonderful day or night, wherever you are in the world. Bye guys.